Hey y'all. So today I wanted to talk about when you're doing spell work, alchemy work, energy work, ritual work, whatever you may call it. I prefer to call it alchemy work. I want to talk about this in regards to like creating like protection around yourself or around your home. In this case, the example I will be giving is home protection. Um, And this conversation comes from something that happened a few months ago, and it was just very, very insightful and very powerful. It was some of my more powerful alchemy work that I had done at that point. Kind of feel like it was like an initiation of passage, honestly. Um, and it was leading up to it, I had been doing work on healing my inner witch and healing some of the witch wound stuff that was really keeping me from being in my power and keeping me from dabbling with magic or alchemy. And having really like cleaned my channel and moved out a lot of fear of persecution and like guilt and shame and all kinds of stuff. I feel like this alchemy work was very potent. And so for starters, that's what I will say is when you're doing any kind of energy work, alchemy work, it's really important that you approach it from a place of like pure heart, pure intention. I am not someone who believes in hexing another person, nor do I believe in um, people hexing me. Uh, I think people can accidentally hex themselves, like when you like do vows that carry over into the like next life and stuff. But I don't really participate or subscribe to the like teachings and stuff around hexing. However, I do like believe that like sometimes we get caught up in sticky energies, or sometimes there's energies that just need to be removed from our vicinity. I also believe in like warding off things and banishing and stuff like that. And I guess if I were to classify myself as a witch, it would be an eclectic witch. I don't really subscribe to any specific school of thought. I don't subscribe to Wicca or paganism or any of it. I'm not big on labels. I just am, and I'm cool with that. I am a wealth of knowledge and an abundance of knowledge that comes from ancestral memory, ancient memory of the collective, as well as like the memory of my soul and the many lives that they have lived. And that is validating enough for me and guiding me forward and what I do. I think there is a time and a place for ritual. I also think there is a time and a place for just following your intuition and flowing. So this is how I approach these things. I've noticed when I'm doing protection work around the home, I do kind of follow ritual, so I'll share that here. I'm a fan of petitions, which petitions are basically where you write your intention on a piece of paper. So for example, if I were to do a petition right now, I would do it like on this little notepad paper, not a big paper, and I could write front and back. I know some people are really specific about how they write it out and stuff. I'm not, don't care. Like I know what my intentions are and I have like respect for what I'm calling in. I think that's what matters. Um, And so I will write it on a piece of paper. So in this case, we had a friend that was highly toxic and definitely being very disrespectful. And they were like a wolf in sheep's clothing. And they just made like it really uncomfortable. One of my first few weeks here living in Florida. And my husband and I had talked about it. And this person has like a strong hatred of women and a lot of anger management and anger under the surface. And so we knew that I had to kind of tread cautiously. So my um, choice uh, to do energy work seemed like the safest. And there's my confirmation that it was. And so I decided to do energy work where I created like a fiery wall of protection around my home, working from the inside out. And then I asked my husband for permission. And then I also gave my permission. And because he was out of state at the time. And I revoked the permission he gave our friend to stay with us, and I revoked the permission that I gave our friend to stay with us. And we did this on an energetic level in the non-physical realm, right? And so I did this revoking through my petition. I wrote on the paper, I, Poppy Pendleton, revoke the permission I gave blank to stay within the walls of my home. Sometimes I put my address, sometimes I don't. Depends what I'm feeling that day. And then I put Christopher Pendleton. With Christopher Pendleton's permission, I revoke the permission Christopher Pendleton gave so and so to stay in our home. And then I go into calling in the elements and the plants and giving gratitude and thanks and prayer and whatever resonates with me to assist. And I write this all out on paper. It's kind of time consuming to write it, but I think that's the beauty of it too, is you're putting energy into writing, right? Which is starting to work, the alchemy. And then I had set the intention that everything occur in a way that is as peaceful and painless as possible. And I set the intention for peaceful communication. And then I created a fiery wall of protection, partly with herbs that are considered fiery, like chili powder. I also use like turmeric, which is protective. And then, which for some of you, if maybe you're new to this, like you can get books on herbs. You could also Google and be like metaphysical properties of turmeric, metaphysical properties of cayenne, metaphysical properties of cilantro, and kind of just take what resonates and then work the magic in that way. Because chances are, if it resonates, it might have been something you learned in a past life that you can apply here now, or it might be something where like this plant is allied with you in this life or has been allied with you for a very long time. And so just work it. And then what I do is I put the petition, the paper, underneath like a pan. I use pans when I'm doing this kind of work because it's just easier to clean up. And then I put like candles in the center of the pan. Depends how many. That time I used 4, one for each direction. And I don't remember the colors I used. Some people are really specific on colors and some aren't. I just use intuitively what feels right to me. So then I did 4 candles, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I had like my little sacred geometry shape in the middle. It was like on a little piece of wood for crystal gritting. Then I circled it with herbs of my choice. I also sprinkled in some crystal powders. I'm a huge fan of salt. You don't need to have this circle be super thick. It's just, it symbolically is nice to have the material in front of you so that way your mind understands what's going on, right? So then I do my circle, I have my candles, my petitions under the pan, so that way it doesn't get burned by the candles. That's why I have it under the pan. And then I circled the herbs with a bunch of crystals. I don't remember what I used, but basically like crystal grading the plants. And with this one, I actually had 2 circles of crystals grading it in because I knew I was also doing protection work. Since we had just moved into the house, I was also clearing other stuff from previous tenants too. And then I went ahead and I crossed my hands over everything. And I said, I bless and empower this alchemy work with the highest love and highest light to work for the highest good of myself, my husband, and our pets, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, in the non-physical and physical worlds, in direct alignment with God and Goddess of the highest love and highest light. May this work in a way that is most aligned with the beauty, integrity, and wisdom of my soul. Thank you. And then I pray, because you could tap into prayers and bring in the energetic charge of prayers. So then I say, Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom his and her love commits me here, ever this day be at my side to light and guard, to rule and guide. Dragons of Goddess, to whom his and her love commits me here, same thing. And then I say all powers of God, what is not of God has no power to do anything to me. And then I switch it for Goddess. That way I'm bringing in balance with the feminine and the masculine and honoring them both. And I'll pray. And then I also just pray from the heart and weave my own words into it. And then I'll light the candles and start the alchemy work. And that's kind of like the routine that I do every time I do any type of fiery wall protection stuff. And so it was pretty fascinating because with this time, it was like all of a sudden our friend who was like being highly avoidant of me started texting me asking how my day was and stuff like that. And I think it's because he sensed that the permission had been revoked. So he's testing the waters. And then Within 30 hours, he came and got his bags and left. However, why I'm sharing this video too is because what we did was the energy work, the alchemy work in the non-physical world, working with plants and herbs and crystals and working with the energetics and the ether that is there, right? However, we also are physical, right? Like this is a density matter. And so the physical will give you an opportunity to work with it once it gets worked out in the non-physical. So the physical came through for me when um our friend texted me and was like, oh hey, I'm going to do an alignment on my car. I was trying to get an oil change today and it just didn't happen. I went on a date with this girl because basically he was using our house as a place to sleep while he was like going out being a womanizer. And so he said that and I was like, okay, well, um because he said it was going to take him till the weekend. So then I was like, okay, like, and I'm really good at communication. So then I was like, oh, great. Like, this is an opportunity to communicate without being too like forward or coming off as like aggressive, because I know that's what he would interpret my assertiveness as being. So then I was like, well, I was like, can you go ahead and take your car for repairs when you visit your friend in Orlando? Because he had said he was going to go to Orlando for a little bit and visit a friend. And he was like, oh no, he's like, I was going to do it here. I figured I'd stay until like Sunday or Monday, which originally he had talked about staying 3 to 7 days. But if he had stayed till Sunday or Monday, that would have put it at like 12 days. And so he was only extending it because he realized he was meeting all these chicks out here. And he was trying to just use our place as a place to crash instead of being helpful like he had promised and agreed to do, not promised, like he had agreed to do when we originally invited him to stay with us, because at that time Chris was out of town working to replenish our bank account, and I really needed help lifting some of the heavier things that like our huge water jugs and stuff, and this friend didn't even help with any of that. So then I just told him, I was like, well, you can stay till Wednesday morning, but after that I need the room that you're staying in so that way I can start working on some things that I've been waiting to work on. And then this was like on a Monday night. So then he immediately came, got his stuff, and was like, oh, I'm gonna go stay at this girl's house that I met at a gas station. And I was like, well, I gave you till Wednesday morning. And then he's like, no, it's fine. I just need to vibe out, but I'll be in touch. And then he just left. Never heard from him again. But then as I was talking to my husband about it, I was like, it's just so beautiful. Like we did the alchemy work, and then it presented the opportunity for us to communicate in a safe container what it is that we were wanting to do, which was to have him leave. And then the energy work, the alchemy work, since it was done with so much respect and pure intention, worked it in a way that it was very peaceful and safe for myself. Um, which is why I shared this video, because maybe for some of you, you might be doing energy work and you're doing the non-physical world, but you also got to be aware that sometimes, not all energy work, but sometimes, like in this case, there is going to be the requirement of you communicating or something, because the plants and the stones can only do so much. They can't articulate always what you need. They can create the friction and the resistance. They can cleanse, they can ward off and stuff like that. But sometimes certain things just have to be said. And so you just got to be open to that and then utilize that window when it comes up and trust the process. And so yeah, that is just a reflection and an insight I wanted to share about like doing home protection and fiery wall protection work, like being mindful of the balance of the non-physical and physical worlds, and paying attention when the universe does give you an opportunity to act or respond to the alchemy work that you put in motion, to like be aware of that and hop on that, so that way it doesn't necessarily like pop in your face. Sometimes it'll pop in your face anyways. Sometimes that's just the way that is most beneficial for you at that time. Which that's like a whole nother conversation. Maybe I'll do that in another video. Anyways, I hope this was helpful and insightful. Please post if you have any questions. It was a pleasure to share my experience with you. And I am rooting for you in your um, inner witch healing or metaphysical learnings or wherever it is you are in your journey. Aho and be well.